Welcome to Revitalize Your Life, the podcast that's about to change the way you think about health, energy, and living your best life. Meet your hosts, experts in functional health, Mark and Joey, who are ready to empower you to take control of your health and well-being. Get ready to optimize, thrive, and take charge of your health. Revitalize Your Life starts now.
Blessed.
Boom.
Boom.
Here we go. Episode 2.
Episode 2. Cannot wait for this one, guys. This is going to be awesome.
Well, how should we intro this? I mean, I suppose massive thank you for watching in episode 1, right?
Yeah, man. The feedback's been incredible. So thank you, guys. We massively appreciate that. It's been so good. Like even people stopping us in the gym, like and asking us questions about the podcast and stuff, which is weird. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. So it obviously went down well, which is I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Me too. And well, plenty more to come. And we're only just getting the show on the road, as they say. Started,
right? Only just started.
Yeah. But theme today, I suppose, is New Year.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Yeah.
Hope you guys had a great Christmas and enjoyed the festivities, and now are, like everyone else, a bit overwhelmed probably with the New Year.
But it's that gap, isn't it, between like after Boxing Day and New Year? It's like, is it Wednesday? Is it Friday? Is it 3 a.m? Is it next week? Like you lose track of time in that space, don't you? You don't know where you are. So it seems weird that Christmas was not that long ago, but now it's like New Year's Eve soon, very soon, and then New Year's, and then that's it. 2024 is a go. Christmas
limbo.
Yeah.
That's
always seems to kind of drag a little bit, and you're not sure whether you should be eating mince pies anymore.
What year is it?
Yeah. What should I be watching on TV? How should I be dressing? Should I have my Christmas socks on still? It's just a very weird period, isn't it? Very strange.
Do you have a good one, though?
I did, brother. I did.
Good.
It was just nice spending it with family and just having some, as we were saying before we started recording, just having that really needed downtime. I think for both of us, kind of like July, August, September, October, November, it just got so busy with work, clients and stuff, which is, we're both blessed for that. It was just nice to have a week or so where you just turned off. That's how I felt about it anyway. What about you?
Same as you, dude. Yeah, I wanted to spend a bit more time with family and did just that. I think it's always important to slow down a little bit. Don't be afraid to recharge the batteries.
100%.
Take a step back.
100%.
Get perspective on things. Even if things didn't go your way in 2023, that's okay.
Yep.
We are starting a brand new month, brand new year. It's a fresh new chapter of a brand new book.
Exactly.
Page 1.
Yeah.
So, and always learn from your previous year. I remember my last December didn't go too well, but hey, it is what it is. It's in the past. I think we could get so caught up in the past and not focus on the present. Very much. It's important to plan for the future, but it's important to be in the present moment just as it is, planning for the future.
But I think, with the theme that we're going to be discussing today, these next couple of days, because we are obviously shooting this before New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, it's that reflection point.
Yeah.
It's important to have that reflection back, not only on the year of what's just passed and what you've achieved and what you've learned and what you've done, but also where you were this time last year. Like everybody compares themselves to other people, and comparison is the thief of joy, as Teddy Roosevelt said. But compare yourself to you, but where you were to where you are now. It's like if you compare yourself from December last year, this time, to now, have you grown? Have you learned? Have you leveled up? Like, have you achieved more things compared to what you wanted to achieve last year? Like those goals you set. Have I? Yeah. I mean, this time last year, I'd only left my house once in 10 months, and that was only Christmas Day. I was chained to a toilet 24 hours a day. This year, I got to go out and see friends and come and shoot podcasts and eat food. Man. I couldn't eat food last Christmas. Like, when you look back, you realize how far you've come. And regardless of the failures, it shows you how much success you have actually achieved, which I think is important. So that reflection point,
I agree with that, Mark,
is very, very important at this time of year. And then you move on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to talk about today, isn't it? Is set the theme, set the agenda, because everyone stresses out this time of year about setting big goals, and we'll talk about. I think we're going to touch base on that and how to set realistic goals and how to make them set and what we've done to gain success. But there's also things last year that I set myself that I didn't achieve, and that's okay.
That's fine.
I think it's important. You can have things that come up. And things that we what our venture that we're planning on behind the scenes, that will happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that necessarily don't happen, which is okay. But it's always a course to, don't be afraid to change trajectory as such if you need to.
What's it called? That's the sunk cost fallacy, right? Well, just because you've invested time into something, doesn't mean that you have to keep doing it. Even if it's failing. Like, you can stop. It doesn't matter how much time you've invested in it. If it's no longer working out that way, change course.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily have to give it up completely. But, the other thing that we're working on, we're trialing and testing, and that's taken a lot longer than what we'd originally thought it might. Well, that's fine. We just change course a little bit. We change the trajectory. We change the length of time that we're looking to do these things, because what's the rush? It's better to get something right, not perfect, but right, than to try and force something like square peg, round hole. Like you don't really want to be forcing something like that.
No.
Because then you've got to cut corners and shave edges, and it never really truly fits properly. So
exactly.
Agreed.
Exactly. Well, there we go. I mean, let's get stuck in.
Let's do it.
Well, we're already doing it.
Cool.
Anyway.
Yeah, we are, I guess. So, as you probably already figured out, this episode is going to be about habits, New Year's resolutions, all the stuff that comes up this time of year, which we always set ourselves kind of targets for, and maybe not necessarily like rehashing what everybody talks about habits and New Year's resolutions, but kind of looking at it from a different approach, like how to maybe make it work better, more efficiently, the pitfalls to look out for, mistakes.
I think that's a big one. Because looking back at previous years, I think one is not setting any intentions.
Yeah.
I think that's mistake number one.
Yeah.
Like not setting anything for yourself to achieve. I mean, I definitely felt that during December this month. I needed to take a bit of a recharge, and it felt nice not to be pushing. Yep. I remember that being told this from my first mentor as well. Like, have push and pull months this year. Yeah. Have months where you push and you really push, and then have some months where you pull back a little bit. Yep. And it's just being in tune to that, and not fatiguing yourself out and burning yourself out. I've been prone to that many a times. The warning signs there: fatigue, just brain fog, just can't concentrate, irritable to your partner or people around you. Those are sort of like the early warning signs. But it's important to not make the mistake of not setting yourself goals, not setting yourself intentions for the new year. But how to get away around this, and something that I'm going to touch base in a minute, is align it up with like your life's mission and purpose. And that's something that people don't discuss. It's like, I think people set very loose goals. Like, I want to achieve this, or related to weight loss, because it's sort of a market we both help clients in. But we need to be mindful of that. What do you want to? How much do you want to lose? But it's like, I want to lose this.
I want to lose 2 stone in 48 hours.
Yeah. And it's like, cool, great that you got a goal, but let's be realistic about it. Yeah. But why do you want to achieve weight loss goal?
So important.
Is it because you want to look a certain way and impress a certain someone? Or is it just to feel more attractive at yourself? Or is it so you could, play around with your kids? It's asking those deep probing questions. That's the difference. That's what's going to get you to the next level. And it's certainly what we've found in 2023 with certain clients that we both work with. You more so with autoimmune, ulcerative colitis, IBD clients, me with clients that are struggling with fatigue, that do want to achieve weight loss. The ones that achieve massive success are the ones that align that mission and purpose with what they want to achieve in life, but also their fitness goals, their personal goals, and their life or business goals sort of separate. I think it's important.
Massively. And I think what we're touching on here is the difference between an extrinsic external goal and a intrinsic internal goal. So obviously the 6-pack abs, the beach bum for the summer. They're the external goals because you want other people to look at you in a certain way. So when that does happen and then it's no longer summer, well, everything goes to pot then, doesn't it? Because now you don't have to worry about it. Where if it's internal, like how it is for our clients, because it's something that they want to achieve for their own personal gain, it's an internal motivation because they've got the need to do it. There's a need there. It's a health thing. It's not because they need to look a certain way for something. It's because their health is in such a shocking state that if they don't do something, it's not going to be a good picture going forward. So the only option then is to have this internal drive to change who they are and finally become the person that they've always wanted to be. And that's very, very powerful. And it's very different from it being an externally egotistically driven goal. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not long standing.
No, exactly, Mark. I agree with everything you're saying there. And going back to sort of like success with ourselves and clients, I think it's doing the inner work and the outer work as well. And a really good tool that I'm going to touch base on in a second, well, now, is the importance of not just writing pen to paper, but asking those deep probing questions with, like, how would your life look like 3 months from now? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does success look like to you? And describe it in detail. So, like, the moment you get up, the sort of meals that you're having, the water you're drinking, the things that you're doing, and even some element, the thought processes.
100%.
Because when you agree, when it comes to goal setting, the person who set them, at the beginning is going to be completely different to the person who's going to achieve them.
100%.
Like a shed, like a shed, like a snake.
Sheds always change.
A snake sheds its skin. There we go. Yeah, we got that one.
Got that one. Yeah, you can tell you can tell we've been off for a week.
Yeah,
our brains a little like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a snake, shedding its skin, 100%.
A snake shedding its skin. You have to do the same.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I remember this quote very early on. Was you have to be willing to leave the old baggage behind.
100%.
And that comes in emotional baggage as well, because we carry a lot of emotional baggage with us, and that sometimes warps our perception on what we want to achieve and what we want to do, and it distorts us from the reality of getting there. Emotional processes, emotional feelings that get involved along this course of the journey, because they will do. And that's okay, but you have to be willing to leave the old self behind in order to achieve this newfound goal. 100%. And it's not so like hard as I'm making it out to be goal, like, guys, like, not getting you guys to forcing you to get your journal out right now and journal down right 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. But it's always a good start to put, like, always a good starting place. Is like, what do you want to do in 30 days from now? And I think that's important, especially when it comes to this January month, is because it's a 5-week month. It's a long month for people. You just had Christmas. We'll talk about this off air. Dopamine is really high, one of the neurotransmitters that makes you feel good, and that kind of gets diminished a little bit. It has to rebuild itself, and January can kind of feel like a big long slog.
January feels like a year in its process just on its own. Like, you feel like the whole month of January takes a very, very, very long time. And again, that's because you have to have these down moments, these reset moments, these pauses to allow, as you say, the dopamine levels to reset, so that you can then plot what you're going to be doing later on through the year and achieve those things, and you don't have to keep searching for this dopamine drive through food or drugs or porn or TV or whatever else it may be that your potential vices may be. But going back to what you were saying about what the changes need to happen, just touching on it briefly, that's cognitive dissonance, where, for anybody that wants to know, where the person that you envisage that you want to become is massively away from the person that you actually are in reality. And that's when the struggle happens initially with goal setting, because you set yourself goals as if you already are that person and that they could achieve them. But you're not that person. You're trying to take a primary school, I guess, education to a university exam and expect to achieve good results. It sets it too far apart. So you have to start going into it a little bit deeper. This is where the journaling and stuff really does help, and the plotting of what to do. weeks, months, years down the line helps, because you've got anchors at each moment which you can identify with. You can see the changes that you're going to be making across that time.
Yeah.
And then it becomes easier to do. So I think, going back to that journaling point again, you haven't got to do it, but most people that are successful in anything that they do, whether it's business or health or life, whatever the case may be, they will think 2-3 years ahead, and then reverse engineer that journey back to this moment and plot out what they need to achieve. We do it every year. How's our business going to grow? How are we going to make more impact? We have to push our vision forward and then reverse engineer it backwards to say, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
And that gives us
I'm looking forward to doing. I always use this time, because this time that we're shooting this up to do that as well.
Yeah, I do.
And I've got the framework in front of me, and it's a very rewarding, a very rewarding process, but a very, I think some would say, spiritual as well.
It's humbling for sure.
Yeah, just looking at it, because I'm looking at this sheet that I set myself, my mission statement, like a 3-year life mission statement, and describing your dream life, mission, and purpose. What would you love to do, do, and have in all areas of life? So spiritually, mentally, in business, or if you guys work for someone, career can be placed with that, wealth, family, socially and physically, and you basically describe your dream life in razor sharp detail, and you kind of sharpen it and revisit it every day. And I noticed the most growth I've ever had was when I looked at it constantly every day.
Yep.
And it's so easy to fall in that trap, guys, as well, because like we're all human, we're not robots. Like, you will forget to look at this every now and again, but it's a very powerful exercise in looking back at, like, bloody hell, I set that 2-3 years ago and I've actually achieved that. Or actually, that thing I set, it didn't actually happen, but that's okay, because there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback at the end of the day. But and that's where I'd start. And we're more than happy for those who are listening. Like, if you need help doing this, please do reach out. We've got an amazing framework for this that you can grab and steal if you want it. 100%. We're going to get this out because it's really powerful. And I'm just looking at it now, like, there's pages here, and it's almost like writing a little book. But when's the last time you did that? That's, again, mistake number 2 people make, is with goals. I think they're very vague.
Yep.
I think, the deeper you go, like, you can really shift some emotion, from it. And like we discussed just a bit further back with the, the purpose of why you're doing it. Is it for, looking a certain way or feeling a certain way? I think it has to encompass everything. Definitely. And that's what the 7 areas of life, which is Dr. John DeMartini
is.
Yeah, that I've used this framework from. I think it's the one that has really stuck with me over the last few years, since on this personal journey and this quest for not only becoming healthier, but in those 7 areas, like becoming better at because the only person you're in competition with is yourself. But in those 7 areas, and it's very easy to focus on one and neglect all the others.
100%.
And the balance is always hard, which I think is just quite nice with the year, being how it is, 12 months of the year and the 4 seasons. As the seasons change, you will change as well.
Yep. And even if you don't achieve some of the things that are on there, that's also a good thing. So, as an example, I always thought one of my goals when I was younger was to have a record contract and be famous. I got the record contract. It was a nightmare. It was more work than I'd imagined it to be. And I left. So, not achieving that was one of the best things that never happened, because it changed the trajectory of my life. I wouldn't be here right now if it had happened.
Sure.
So I wouldn't be helping the amount of people that I'm helping if it had happened. So sometimes the thing that you think you want, it not happening, is the best thing that's happened.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it will set you on a different trajectory. So again, it's not putting too much pressure on yourself with achieving everything that is on there, because again, as you said earlier, the person that you are right now making that list isn't going to be the same person in 3 months' time, let alone in a year's time.
Yeah.
So as you change, so will your goals.
So funny you say that as well, because I like when you said that, was instantly reminded of when I before COVID and everything like that, because I think that changed a lot of people's goals.
Massively.
For the better or worse. I think it's always for the better.
Always.
Even if you had a really hard time, and like for us, lost people and whatnot, and we won't go down that rabbit hole, but
different podcast.
Different podcast. But it always does work out for the best. It's it's not happening to you; it's happening for you.
There we go.
And myself and another friend of mine who was in the same business mentorship as me, we were going to start a gym up before this kicked off.
I was as well.
So funny, isn't it?
I was, yeah.
And it wasn't until we, you get excited about it, like the wall's gonna look like, the kit's gonna look like, and oh my god, you get kind of carried away, swept with this like reality of like, oh my god, it's gonna be amazing. And then when actual fact, when we looked at the numbers,
so expensive.
especially in Cambridge. Yeah. In Cambridge, we're talking sort of like 6 figures before you even start opening doors.
Yep.
Before you even got staff and everything. I was like, wow. Fair play to those who achieve it. And then guess what happened? Everything shut down.
Yep.
So it's kind of a blessing in disguise it didn't happen.
There you go.
And this that we're sitting in here, this was just a garage, dude. During lockdown. There's a couch sitting right here where we are. There's a golf club set there. Like there's just junk.
Yeah.
This was never like I never intended on this setup to be like my little private studio where we house the coaching program. It just happened. Yeah. I had some idea, like I had some intention of like, yeah, I could see that happening. And it wasn't until I sort of like, cleared everything out and then put my pen to paper as such and started actioning it and implementing it that it started to actually, let's do this. And now we're 3 years up, coming up to 4. It'll be 4 years in June.
Wow.
No, July. July was when I opened the doors, technically. There's a few things. Like, I'm a perfectionist, so I was like, I've got to get a little bit more kit in and make it that just a little bit more, a little bit
Clients
better.
only need this much space to work out in. I want to kit everything else out.
Kit everything out. Yeah. But it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny looking back at it. You know,
man.
Things don't always work out, but they always work out for the better, I think.
Yeah. And we wouldn't have met.
Very true.
We wouldn't be here doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So everything happens at exactly the right time. Always does. Always does. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't make a plan about it. Because, and again, I was listening to an interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger the other week, where he was saying, like, it's so important to set goals and destinations, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. He said, because otherwise it's like having a really nice boat and the best captain going out to sea, but you've got no direction of where you're going. You don't know where to go. So you've now got a really nice boat with the best captain in the world and you're just floating. Yeah. Aimlessly.
And that's where I think a lot of people get swept up in January.
Just floating about.
Yeah.
There's no reason for... There's no reason to be doing whatever they're doing. Waking up for what? Because there is nothing set. There's no particular goal set. There's all goals, whichever way you want to look at it, but there's no reason, there's no purpose, there's no meaning. No,
I think when you align the purpose and the meaning to it, it starts to happen. That's the biggest thing that I've seen with myself and others is having meaning. And also important when things start to slow down and you just hit a plateau. That's also important. Because then you need to review, you need to reflect, and certain things that I've done with clients last year is the ones that achieve massive success at the halfway point of their journey, their goals. It's like, right, let's look back at how far you've come. Let's celebrate what you've achieved so far, and you reel out and list all the things you've achieved and the things that they've actually forgotten about. Like, oh, my gut health has improved, my sex life has improved. Actually, I've had to buy a whole new wardrobe. Like I dreamt of this stuff at the beginning of the year. It's like it's so funny, that, isn't it? But here you are.
All of a sudden it becomes normal because you can do it. You forget it.
But then what happens, and this is important that we touch on, is when you do hit a plateau, what to do about it and how to get unstuck.
Okay. I think we'd need to define, I guess, what a plateau would be necessarily then, because...
Okay, when you've achieved your goal, and you're not seeing any further change or results, you've achieved your goal. You're thinking, right, what's next?
Okay. So that's not necessarily then a plateau. That would be a pausing point where you've climbed the mountain and you've reached the top. And now you're thinking, okay, so I feel good because I've achieved that thing, whatever the case may be. And now I don't have a reason to be doing this anymore because I've achieved it. So what do I do? Well, in that instance, you want to be looking at all the new skill sets that you have achieved and learned over that process, the person that you have become through that process, because the top of the mountain view is not the reason why you climb the mountain. It's beautiful nonetheless, but at the top of that mountain, all you're going to do is see another mountain and go, I'm going to climb that one instead, right? So it's the person that you become on that. So it's that pausing point there, that reflective point back. We can be like, okay, so this is who I was, and this is why we ask clients these questions and stuff, like, compared to who you were when you started to who you are now, how do you feel on a scale of whatever, how's your life changed? It's because it makes people reflect back on all the things that they've now taken for granted, because it's almost just the norm now to feel good. It's the normal now to sleep well. It's the normal now to not necessarily need caffeine in the morning. It's normal now to go to the gym maybe 4 times a week. It's normal now to meditate, like where before they couldn't get themselves out of bed and they had no reason to do anything, and they just never meditated in their life, and they didn't even go for walks. All the things that they now do, they take for granted because it's become part of who they are, their identity. So at that moment, that plateau point where you've achieved what you want to achieve, the dopamine has spiked, right? But this is where we now need that reset. Because otherwise, if we go to hit another goal, dopamine doesn't have the opportunity to reset to baseline, which means it will get pushed higher, and then eventually it will crash out, where you almost become kind of anhedonic to things, where you feel nothing about it, because it's a little bit like when people like Elon Musk and stuff, they achieve what they need to achieve, they then move on to that next thing straight away. You're not giving yourself enough time to allow the dopamine system to reset so that you can start afresh on something different and achieve that same drive, purpose to achieve it. Because dopamine isn't about the reward, which is what people think it is. It's the pursuit of.
Sure. Right?
So that's how dopamine gets triggered, through the pursuit. And Dr. Andrew Huberman talks about this on his podcast, about how you must allow dopamine to reset, neurologically speaking, so that you can then have the same drive for your next goal. So while you're in that pause, reflecting back on what you've achieved, allowing the dopamine to reset, look at your list that you've already made. Okay, I've achieved this goal, this goal, and this goal. What's next? Okay, for my health, it's now maintaining where I'm at because I'm optimal. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I've lost the weight. I've built the muscle. I look fantastic. I fit in that dress or those shorts or whatever. So now the health is good. That's not the focus. I can now focus on a relationship or a business or my job, like getting promoted or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
Climbing a mountain, as an example, like move on to the next goal and allow yourself that reflective point so that you can stop, breathe, reset, go again.
Yep, I've been guilty of that as well.
I have as well, mate.
Yeah,
we always
moving
do.
to the next thing.
Keep moving. It's a bit like when you're training and you finished off your block of training and you don't take that time out to let the body recover. You're like, on to the next. Straight into the gym again.
Yeah.
You don't give your body time to fully recover.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
But we all do it.
Agree. We do it anyway.
We all do it.
That's the thing with high-driven individuals, isn't
Massively.
it? It's just like, right,
Massively.
next. So, you know, maybe the theme this year is to set goals, set intentions, be realistic about it, align it with your mission and purpose and everything else, but then take time to rest, recoup, go again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I've said that to this year as well. Take a little bit of not necessarily go away on a holiday, but like every 6 weeks, have a little bit of a break from everything.
Definitely
for a few days
100%.
to reset.
I mean, a lot of high performing people do that. So I was listening to Naval Ravikant, and he was saying that himself and his successful friends, they push hard, non-stop for 3 weeks, and then they coast for a week. And then they push hard for 3 weeks, and then they coast for a week. And that means that they maybe not getting as much sleep as they normally would be getting for 3 weeks. They're eating well, but not as well as they could be for 3 weeks. They're focusing on whatever it is that they need to be focused on, business, health, whatever, for 3 weeks, and they're pushing hard as hell. And then they get a week of chill. where they're not getting up as early, they're going to bed a little bit earlier, they're at home a little bit more, they're with their families a little bit more, they're doing more walking, more appreciative things, where they're enjoying life a little bit more, and then they push again for 3 weeks, and it allows that peak and then that drop and then that peak and then that drop, and it gives you that time to have a little bit of space so that you can then plot the next thing that you're going to
Interesting.
do. Yeah. I'm going to try that.
Perspective.
Yeah, I'm going to try that.
3 weeks on,
1 week off. Yeah.
Because we always work within the months.
Yeah. That's training. That's because of training microcycles, mesocycles, and the rest of it. That's why we've probably got that mindset.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that the most important thing as well, that I think a lot of people don't achieve their goals, is they don't have any accountability or support. I think those are two elements that are vital.
Very much. Very much.
Especially in 2024, if you've not had accountability before. Because would you agree? Like, because we both met in the same mentorship. When we had that accountability and support as such, we had we had a lot of growth.
Of course. Personally,
physically, in all those 7 areas. Mm-hmm. So you've never had accountability, or you never had any coach before, guys, I'd recommend doing it. We have coaches.
Yeah, of course. Keep us on our toes.
The good coaches have coaches.
Coaches have coaches, and those coaches have coaches. It's just how it works. Yeah. It has to happen that way, because otherwise you've got nobody that is making sure you do what you need to do, because if you could do it, you would have done.
Yep.
Right? So if you could have done it by yourself, you would have done it already. Mm-hmm. And, we have a weekly call, don't we?
Yep.
On Zoom.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday, where we keep ourselves accountable for what we're supposed to be achieving. And it's just a no-brainer really for me, this accountability thing, because as I say, if you were going to do it, you would have done, if you were going to do it by yourself. So having somebody there to say to you, come on now, right? You've given me all the reasons why you can't be doing these things. Now you got that bullshit out of the way. What's the real reason you're not doing it? Oh, because I feel this, or I feel like that, right? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Right? It allows you to talk through those things and get those limitations out of the way. Yep. Otherwise, it's just you versus you all the time. And unfortunately, you are going to beat yourself.
You'll always get in your own way.
Of course you will. You've had practice at it your whole life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're the best ones at getting in our own way.
And we don't like change. The body's built for homeostasis, keeping survival.
Yeah.
And we like being comfortable.
Yeah, we do. And people become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. You're comfortable with not achieving the things you want to achieve. You're comfortable with a job that you don't particularly like. You're comfortable with the fact that maybe you could lose a little bit of weight and your trousers don't fit very well or whatever. Like, you get comfortable being uncomfortable because you think, well, what else is there?
Yeah.
Well, there's loads more. It's got to expand the horizons a little bit.
Raise your
standards.
That guy we both follow, the study with why is it like... Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you've read the same study as me, Mark, with the relationship. When you get into a relationship, you're more likely to gain weight and stay comfortable because the need to attract that partner to begin with, has already been achieved. A bit like the dopamine. Your dopamine's been reset. And the same thing kind of happens with goals. It's like you get comfortable. So you need to get yourself a bit more uncomfortable. That's where coaching, that's where support and accountability is vital, I think, for people who haven't had it, because it forces you to get out of your own way, forces you back off the wall, and focuses on, getting you to where you need to be.
Mate, 100%. Because
growth. We're here for a short amount of time. This is the one thing that I always get frustrated in with people who have like, oh, well, I'm happy. It's like, no, you're not. Because if you're happy, you'd have all the things that you want and you'd look and feel amazing, And don't get me wrong, like, my idea of success is very different to your idea of success and you guys listening. But I feel like we as a society, with the way that we look at health and the statistics and the things that we read, I think we've dropped our standards.
Oh, mate, massively.
Massively dropped our standards. Yeah. So I think set high standards of yourself. Like, if you want to achieve real success this year, is set your standards high.
Yep.
Get accountability, get a coach, get support in the areas that you need help with. And more importantly, set intentions, set goals, take breaks as well, basically. Like we said earlier, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, maybe. That sounds like a good rule of thumb. But I think, like when we first started this, is like we want to get momentum first. It's very easy to go like bullet out of a gun. Let's go, 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 go. Set goals. Got to achieve this. Got to do this. Bit like a train. The old locomotive starting. Yeah. It starts to build momentum, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Same thing that you should do this 100%. Year.
The momentum side of it is the hardest part. To start is the hardest part. Once you have momentum, it's easy to keep it moving. But as a lot of the habit guys out there will tell you, is if you miss the habit for more than 2 days, you're now going to get that initial and kind of that anxiolytic inertia again, where you're going to have to push again to get that momentum building back up again. So once it's moving, keep it moving, no matter how minimal it might be. Mm-hmm. If you've started going to the gym twice a week and you miss it like one day, go that second time, even if it's just for 10 minutes, where you just walk in, go on the treadmill for 10 minutes and walk out. Just do it, because then you beat that anxiety, you keep that inertia, that momentum, and you can keep moving forward. But with all these things, and this is, you've probably noticed this as well, do the common things uncommonly well. That's the most important things when it comes to habits and starting new habits, because you can't stop old habits. Old habits don't go away. They're in the brain. They're wired there neurologically. You cannot do anything about them, but you can forget about them and you can replace them. So what I would suggest is just do the common things uncommonly well. So in that regard, start with something as simple as going for a walk every morning. One thing. Just do one thing. That's it. Mm-hmm. When people come to us and they want help, and they failed before, and you listen to why. Well, this time last year, I wanted to lose 3 stone, and I wanted to grow 5 feet, and I wanted to add on 20 kilos of muscle, and I also wanted to go from being bald to having like 50-foot long hair, and I wanted to start my own business and learn how to fly and turn invisible at the click of a button. You're like, okay, and how long did you set yourself these goals for? Oh, 4 weeks. And did you do them? No. Why? Because it's too hard. Well, damn right it's too hard, because you've made it too bloody hard. And this is the problem. We make it so hard that when we fail, which we inevitably will, and we know it, it's not our fault. It's just too hard. Yeah. Right? Where if you set a realistic goal, walking or going to the gym once a week, you have to try really, really bloody hard to screw that up. Yeah. And if you do, it's all on you. You can't blame anything else. It's all on you. And the brain does not want that to happen. It wants you to succeed. So it will make it easier for you to do. So rather than getting to the beginning of the year and being like, right, I need to do this, I need to do this, and all of a sudden you've got 50 things that you want to achieve, just do like 2. Yeah. For the first 2 months or first month, just do 2. And the ones that I would look at is get out in the morning, get sunlight in your eyes, number 1, and walk. And number 2, the easiest one of all, sleep better. Yeah. Sleep better, because it doesn't matter what your goal is, whether it's weight loss, running your own business, having more energy through the day, being a better husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend, or starting your own business, whatever, everything will become so much easier if you just were well slept and rested consistently. Same time going to bed, same time waking up, and on weekends, the same. Do that. And I guarantee you, the other habits will line up and you'll achieve those things. But start off with the bare basics, because the one thing that I have noticed is that people cannot do the common things commonly well. Uncommonly well, should I say. Do that. Yep. Become the outlier of the common things. Yep. I'd have heard delay your caffeine as well. Oh, mate, massively. massively. Yeah. And, you know, talking about delay gratification. Right, we know the marshmallow test. I'm assuming you know the marshmallow test. You know the marshmallow test? No. Tell me about it. Seriously? Yeah, tell me about it. Oh, I love this. Okay, cool. So there is a very strong correlation between the people that are successful at the habits that they start is because they delay the instant gratification now for a more rewarding gratification later. Oh, okay. Hard life now, easy life later, right? Rather than easy life now, hard life later. So delaying gratification, choosing the hard thing now because later on you're going to get something far more rewarding. Marshmallow test, brilliant. They basically got a group of kids, like I think maybe 4 or 5 years old, and they'd have an interviewer in a room and the kid opposite, and there was a marshmallow on a plate. And the interviewer said to the children, with the one kid at a time, I need to leave the room for a second. Try not to eat the marshmallow. Eat it if you want to, right? But if you don't, when I come back, if it's still there, I'll give you another marshmallow. So, of course, when you watch these kids, some of them are like sniffing the marshmallow. Some of them are like licking the marshmallow. Some didn't even wait for him to leave the room. They just like grabbed it, ate it. Some waited for a couple of minutes and ate it. And some actually did wait. Now, they then followed these kids up for 40 years afterwards and measured them on all metrics of success in life through relationships, jobs, salary, fulfillment in life. All the ones that delayed gratification were way more successful in every area of life than the ones who couldn't delay gratification. Science. Speaks volumes. Right?
I agree. Yeah,
speaks volumes.
I think we should end there.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I think so, definitely.
Not technically end it, because we're now going to transition to our favourite, guys.
I love this bit.
Which is the 10-minute tinfoil hat takeover. Boom. We'll take a little bit of a break and we'll be back.
Welcome to the Tinfoil Hat 10-Minute Takeover, where we're about to unravel the secrets and myths that the health and fitness industry doesn't want you to know. Mark and Joey will be exposing the shocking studies and revealing the unspoken truths that will challenge your perception of health and well-being. So get ready for a mind-bending journey as they shed light on the hidden facts, debunk the myths, and question the status quo. It's time to trade in your tinfoil hat for the wisdom and knowledge you've been missing. Buckle up for the Tinfoil Hat Takeover.
On today's list of topics,
such a big list.
Episode 1, we talked about alkaline batteries being used for fertilizer in a soil.
Yep.
And it was quite funny hearing the feedback on that one. But here's another funny one for you guys today, because we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I'm going to keep it strictly 10 minutes. But here we go. Adding chalk to bread. Always quite a funny one when did you know they're adding chalk to bread? And it always gets a funny reaction. Like, what? What are you about? What planet are you on? Hence why we cover these topics.
Chalk to bread.
Debunking the myths, and unraveling the status quo as such the health and fitness industry doesn't want you to know about. But this is a topic that I thought was quite interesting, as to why this still happens and why they still add chalk to bread, because it's quite a big staple for people. Should we get stuck in?
Do it, bruv.
All right.
This is blowing my mind already. So
yeah.
carry on, please.
So, guys, since the war, we've been adding chalk to bread, the flour that goes into making bread.
Okay.
As you know, bread has been a staple food for the British people for centuries, but over the past few decades, the amount of bread eaten in Britain and the contribution of bread and the flour to nutrient content had decreased. Okay. And essentially what happened was in the wartime, basically there was a massive shortage of food, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. Rationing and being able to get just the basic requirements that we, are privileged to get now, that weren't around. Things like dairy, milk, cheese that we got a lot of nutrition from, this wasn't happening. Hence why they started adding stuff into our food. And this is where the big problem really began. But we'll save that for another day. Yeah. Today we're talking about why they're still adding chalk to bread. And it's been happening since the wartime, since 1942. And it's because obviously the massive dairy issue, people weren't getting dairy, and their need for calcium. Okay. Calcium.
Okay.
Putting everything on calcium. That's when they started adding chalk to bread to help increase the non-dairy consumption of calcium. And they started adding it to the flour. But here's the really wild thing, guys, is this is still happening to date in 2023. They are still adding chalk like chalk that you find in, like the same chalk used on whiteboards.
Oh wow.
Whiteboards? Blackboards. Blackboards, the roads, paint, other industries. It's calcium carbonate that they still add.
Oh, yum.
So every 100 grams of flour, they still add in chalk to it.
But that doesn't make any sense, seeing as we're not calcium deficient.
Apparently we still are. And this is due to nutrient deficiencies during the war, when rationing and food shortages across the country were not met, and the calcium needs were not met through non-dairy shortages.
Okay.
So they've still been adding, and this is the wild thing, is this is all by law. The Bread Act is a real thing. Now, I looked at a 78-page document, as you're doing in your spare time, of the nutritional aspects.
That was a fun Christmas.
Of Bread and Flour Act, 1981. 78-page document I read and scanned through. And yeah, by law, like they still, in all white British flour, by law, they still add calcium carbonate to our food, into the bread. It gives us no choice of what we want in our white flour, but it's just white flour. Like it's not added to wholemeal. So if you're eating wholemeal, you're fine. But in white bread,
but surely,
which is wild.
But surely, then, if you're eating, most people are going to be eating white bread, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And drinking milk, and having dairy. So are we not encroaching on quite a high level of calcium intake then?
Interesting you say that, Mark, because here, before we go into that, that myth, I think, of, we need to be focusing our attention on calcium can be quite detrimental and negligent, and arguably negligent of other minerals that are very, very much more important than calcium.
Massively.
Because it still gets pushed like, well, calcium makes strong bones, Well, that's only one piece of the pie. Like, we know bones aren't just made of calcium. They're made of calcium, zinc, potassium, selenium, magnesium, boron, phosphorus, sulfur, iron, and other 64 traces of minerals, for Christ's sake. So that's what our bones are made of. So we can't keep arguing the fact that, still adding chalk into flour because of calcium, to make strong bones. There's other minerals that need to be met as well. And you see this as well. We both read blood tests, and there's a ton of nutrient deficiencies that a lot of you guys watching.
Minerals as well. Mineral deficiencies too.
Mineral deficiencies that are still apparent. But the wild thing that you said about, like, it can be quite dangerous is, well, can too much calcium be an issue? And it can. Too much calcium actually can increase your heart attack risk by 30%. So too much calcium. So you mentioned earlier, well, if you have your bread, your milk and dairy, which is quite a big staple for most British folk, they're having bread every day and dairy, I'm not saying these are bad, just the dangers and the dosage.
Combination
but too much calcium can lead to an increased risk of 30% risk of a heart attack.
Wow. So
technically, too much bread could increase your risk of a heart attack.
Jesus.
Pretty bold claim, but...
So it makes you question then in these situations, like, I can't imagine, is it on the ingredient list? I don't even know. I haven't bought white bread in years. Is calcium added on the ingredient list of bread? Like, if I bought a white loaf from the supermarket, would it be on the ingredient list?
Calcium would be.
Wow. Okay.
But here's the wild thing, is not many people know.
No.
Well, where's the calcium come from? Chalk. I think that was the wildest thing. Yeah. This is the going back up the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So then
the original conversation.
Why have they not just told everybody? By the way, there's chalk nuts in your bread.
But this is it. They won't. Because then they want you just to be quiet and eat your bread. And shut up. And
I'm just seeing school teachers
comply.
Writing on the board with bread.
Yeah. A bit of loaf. But I thought it was wild. I had this conversation with a friend. He really brought it to my attention. I was like, I didn't know that. And why do they add chalk to bread? It's because of the calcium.
Surely this needs to be addressed now. It's not something.
Yeah, I think we should have a choice.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people that I still speak to who, and this is a big dangerous one, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, is calcium supplementation.
Yeah, and
they're already having their calcium needs met through dietary.
Yeah.
Anyway, so why do you need to increase your calcium intake? Oh well, we've got to have strong bones. It's like, well, what about the other 74 ionizing minerals that make up your bones? You're just going to put calcium on a pedestal? Because the trouble with that, guys, and we look at some of the studies, is too much calcium, like I just mentioned, can increase the heart attack risk by 30%. And it's because it is, without going down this rabbit hole too much, is because of magnesium's role in the body. Magnesium's role in the body is offsetting what in our body called the sodium and calcium accumulation relationship. Mm-hmm. So magnesium, again, 76% of people in the UK aren't meeting anyway. Yep. 24%
Shocking.
Teens aren't making
yep.
meat in the UK. It's so vital for the body. It has like 600 chemical reactions it does. But the most important one is it stops that hypercoagulability in the heart. So going back to sodium and calcium accumulation, really, really big one. So please, if you're taking calcium supplementation and eating bread and eating milk, please cut out the calcium supplement at least.
And then that's not even taking into consideration the role of vitamin D3 and K2 in calcium.
Yeah.
Of it moving it around the
body. That's
body.
the big one. I won't go down that rabbit hole.
So if people are deficient in vitamin D, which they are, calcium is staying within the bones, and then they're eating more of it, I can see this being a problem.
But the wildest thing is, they're adding chalk to bread still.
Crazy.
Because we could go down that rabbit hole.
Crazy.
I did go down that rabbit hole a little bit, reading this 78-page document on the bread the Bread and Flour Act 1981.
Yeah.
Of like rabbit holes and types of calcium and elemental and all this stuff. But the main thing is why are they still adding chalk into bread?
I'm just glad it's only white bread, because any sane person shouldn't really be eating white bread anyway. So.
And it's like the whole iron metal fillings in cereal as well. Like that's been video online with Kellogg's Flakes, right? Where someone's got like a magnet and getting all the iron. Like, why is iron fillings, heavy metals being added to cereal?
It's the fortified vitamins.
Yeah.
It's because they process it so much. And that's the other thing that they're doing with the bread. White bread, obviously, it's so heavily processed. They have to add everything back in. So, guys, anything that says fortified with and then says vitamins, that's because it's so heavily processed that all nutrients have been taken out. Yeah. And now have to add them back in. So it's not really a true food. So...
yeah, more of a product.
Yeah.
More of a product.
Yeah.
The only, like if you're having bread, like, because I like bread. I like sourdough because it's fermented. It's a completely different process than white bread. We're talking like white bread, like we won't name any brands, but like the classic white bread you buy off the shelf. Stay away from it. Ancient grains would be better. Mm-hmm. Things like rye, spelt.
Spelt's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't get buckwheat bread, but buckwheat's a good.
No, the one you told me was.
You can.
Nice.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, buckwheat.
No, the Ezekiel bread.
Yeah.
Sprouted bread.
Yeah. That's really good. Really.
Always
really
out of stock.
Yeah, that's because it's so bloody good. It's
but rye bread's good. Like these are like I used to turn my nose up them, but they are much easier to digest, much better for you as well. Yeah. But the other option I know a few of my clients still do is make your own bread with sourdough starter kits. Yeah. Quite rewarding making your own bread.
I've done that. It's harder than it looks, but it's worth it though.
Yes.
It's so rewarding when the loaf actually turns out not like a brick. It's so... Mate, my first sourdough was horrific. I could have killed someone with it. Seriously.
Literally.
Yeah, if it dropped...
from a building.
If I dropped it on the floor, I could have
broken
my
murder.
toes. Yeah. Murder weapon. Put a loaf of sourdough on the table.
Death by bread.
Oh my god!
Not only getting an increased risk for a heart attack, but also got hit in the head.
Yeah, it was awful.
Oh
but
my god.
You get better than what you do.
Yeah.
So good.
There we go. I thought we'd
there we are. Chalk.
10 minute 10-4 tap. 10 minute.
So I want to see all you guys out there and girls out there in the gym chalking up your hands for your heavy lifts with some bloomer. And start a new craze.
But only white bread though. No wholemeal.
It might be part of the whitening process.
Yeah.
So that might be why as well. Yeah. Because if you put it in wholemeal, you'd see it, I'd imagine.
This is everywhere. Small bakeries, everywhere, they're still being added. Even your favourite local bakery, they're still adding, like chalk. The flour they get is chalk still in that as well. It's mad. There you go.
There we are.
I'll end with that one, guys.
That's a bombshell and a half, isn't it?
One to talk on the next topic of conversation. Did you know still adding chalk to bread?
Yeah.
What? And
do you like these 10-minute tinfoil hat takeovers? Do you want more factual based ones like this, where we've actually brought up the numbers and the studies, or do you want us to go a little bit more down rabbit holes and go down the places that we really want to talk about?
I think, Mark, you'll bring the next conversation.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some really cool conversations.
Yeah, okay, I'll bring the next one in.
About chemical trails and UFOs and
I've got the footage
centralized
for the
banking
chemtrails.
systems.
Oh God, yeah, that's
And
a big
what's the
one.
newest one? Or I don't want to go touch base on it too much, but carbon credits.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We need a whole podcast just for that alone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 2.
Blessings as always.
Please like, share, subscribe,
Mm-hmm.
and we look forward to seeing you in episode 3.
Definitely. We will be there. Stay
Happy New
blessed.
Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Peace out.